And we're here. It's Frankly
We
Football.
back. Mm.
Oh boy, oh boy. Chris, I tell you, it's been a ride, man. It's been a ride.
And man, when we started this back in March, we had a lot of, you know, just jitters about it, how we was gonna vibe with this thing, and we had a lot of expectations, man. And getting to the end of to the season and how it ended, the way it ended, um, it left you with like, damn, what was we thinking about?
A
You know what I'm
bad
saying?
taste in your mouth. A bad taste
Man,
in your mouth. Call it what it is.
terrible, man. Yeah, man. It's like that. Wake up in the morning, acting like
Right?
it just don't feel right. So it leaves a lot, a lot that you're thinking about and how things turned out. But man, we made it to the end, man. We made it to the end of the year, man.
And the car was about to break down on its way there. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
Obviously, as if you watch this channel, you're a Cowboy fan. Obviously, you know that the Cowboy season didn't go as planned. We ended up losing to the New York Football Giants, and our
Mhm.
season came to I wouldn't even say a screeching halt. It came to a close.
Yeah,
The credits rolled.
yeah, the credits roll. I think I wanted more than getting into the playoffs because at the end of the day, I was still Lieutenant Commander Team Tank. I wanted to make sure that
Mhm.
we got the highest draft pick possible. Going to the playoffs would only push me back to 19, and that's going to be into draft talk. How we feel like the best players weren't going to reach 19 where we were at, but I wanted to end the series of year after year, and I shared with you of getting to a game to get into the playoffs and losing.
It's
We
almost
we
like
did that.
it's kind of like the stench of Garrett had to leave. It the aroma was still in the hallways of the building, so of course it had to come to that again. Um,
Yeah.
but man, the purpose of this video today is kind of do like a season in review type thing. Where did we start
Hmm.
versus and how we felt when we started versus where we are today.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
if you recall, back in August, July, around that time, we were having conversation of expectations around our player production and team as a whole.
Right.
Um, and I think offensively, we got to see a lot of that come to fruition, especially as the season went on. Early, of course, we had a few issues with giving the ball away and things like that, which totally unacceptable. But I'm
Hmm.
glad that it healed itself. That wound healed after the bye week.
Absolutely.
Defensively, I don't think that anyone could have predicted the massacre that was the 2020 Cowboys defense.
Um.
Um,
Oof.
you 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 remember my whole campaign of the Sinister
Mm.
Six?
Hey man, I still got the pictures in my phone of the Sinister Six, and it was fly. I was like, oh man, I can't imagine what it's gonna be with Gerald McCoy, Don Terry Poe, uh, Alden Smith, you know, the Marcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, dang, I can't even remember the dude we cut the Vikings dude. What was his name?
Everson Griffin.
Yeah, Everson Griffin. We was like, oh man, it's just gonna be waves and pass rushes. They're gonna be killing it. Yeah, man, I still got that picture in my phone, man. Yeah, I still got
Sweet memories, I guess. Hey
it.
man.
Yeah. No, the delusional memories,
Yeah.
delusional. Because
Yeah.
yeah, that you said it best, man. I think when we go back and look at in some one of our videos, you go back and look at it. It's right there on the channel. We were looking at like 12-4, 13-3. Really didn't feel like we didn't give we didn't give the Browns any respect. We thought we'd walk over the football team. We thought we probably had enough firepower to get past Seattle. Only team we really worried about was Baltimore and the 49ers. We had no idea, man, that this football team would end up imploding before the season started. And I think what went wrong for us above anything else is the injury to both our tackles.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, Pepper.
I think that this team was suited to lose one of those guys. I think that if all of the guys were to come in and play, this week, they would be suited to potentially losing out on Tyron Smith. That is what the coaching staff is expecting from him. They know that they're going to lose him for anywhere from 3 to 5 games a year. But if you
Absolutely.
lose him and Lyle Collins, both of our bookends, for extended period of times, they weren't prepared for that, and it showed. It showed because they decided to go to the nearest subway and grab a turnstile and just let everyone come through on the right side. I'm telling it like it
Yeah.
is, man.
I'm sorry, man. Yeah, you caught me out there with that one. Absolutely. We weren't expecting that. We've always set out to think we're going to get 13 games out of Tyron Smith. But for you to turn around and only get two out of him this year and him to go down, but we didn't anticipate Lyle Collins not playing because walking in, we felt coming into the year. Okay, you found out that Travis Frederick retired. Okay, you know, I was already excited because I said, okay, we get Tyler Biotis. We can insert Tyler Biotis. He can play. We can go forward with that. Because I didn't expect to see Joe Looney. Because if anybody's watched this channel, they know I love Joe Looney as a man, but
Yeah, love him.
I hate Joe Looney as a starting center without question. So I felt like, okay, maybe one, maybe 2 games, get Tyler into the flow. Boom, we'll be able to go. Um, but to lose Tyron, Connor Williams to kind of struggle getting his legs back underneath him after coming off an ACL and getting back to play as many games as he played. Um, Zach Martin cementing his place in the Hall of Fame with his performance. But yeah, man, Terrence going early was just just terrible. And to
Absolutely.
be honest with you, he progressed along in the year, but at the end of the day, he's a backup. He's a career backup without question. He's not like Jerry Parnell. He's going to get better and better as time goes on. He's going to go somewhere and make some money. No, Terrence Steele, Turnstile will continuously be a backup in this league.
100%. And I wouldn't even say uh, an immediate backup like a swing guy. No, I would put him behind the swing guy.
He's behind the swing guy. He's behind the swing guy. The swing guy gets hurt. Good practice
Definitely.
guy. Good practice guy.
Definitely. And I want to touch on this very quickly, and this is gonna kind of be a hint to another video. Um, do you think Lyle Collins loves the game?
I think Lyle Collins loves football. I don't think it's a
Mm,
question about Lyle Collins loving football. I think what ends up
mm,
happening that for most people going through this pandemic and people, athletes are creatures of habit. Like they
mm-hmm.
have to have a routine. They have to have a routine to say, I'm going to get up and do this. I'm going to get up and do this. I'm going to get up and do this. And when you leave a guy out of that routine for such a long period of time, he just falls into the fact of the matter. Nobody's going to push him to do certain things that he needs to do. Imagine this. Imagine this, Brandon, because it'll happen really soon. Imagine to the point that you got enough money that no matter what ends up happening, nobody can tell you what to do, when to go, where to go, and how to go do it.
Okay.
Right? And okay, I got to go to work, but I'm gonna get to it when I want to get to it. And the beauty about uh, sports, and as you when you played, you knew, hey, I got practice this time, I got workouts at this time, and I gotta go from here. When they come back in March, right, and they got to get those 40 workouts to get that bonus, those 40 workouts are scheduled that they
That's right.
have to get, and they got stuff they got to get done, and they got to check in with a guy to see they're on target the way you got to go. Well, they didn't get back. They didn't get around anybody who was talking about football
Until
after
a week
losing
before
their
the
last.
season.
No, they didn't know. They didn't know about it. They didn't talk about anybody with anything going on with football from the game they lost in December until June.
That's right.
6 months. Six
That's
months,
right.
man. And so I don't think it's so much he didn't love football. I just think to the point, hey, working out on your own, you ain't gonna work out like somebody who's paying you to get ready.
Okay. And I got some thoughts in my head about that. I'm
Okay.
gonna save my opinions about this for another time
Oh, no
because I'm
doubt. We
still
can talk
thinking
about
on
this.
that. I need
Okay.
to think about it and make it make sense.
Right.
But I think that the second biggest factor, and this could be debatably first because I did well even without our tackles. Losing our quarterback, man. Losing your quarterback in the fifth game of the season killed any hope, even in a horrible division, of making the playoffs.
You don't lose. There's 32 jobs. There's 32 starting NFL jobs in the NFL. Okay. Everybody ain't a bona fide starter who needs to be starting, but there's 32 positions.
That's right.
And when you lose a bona fide top 7 quarterback in this league, right, to injury, and you try to buffet yourself any way you can with a guy, Andy Dalton, that'll come in and will be able to give you a couple of games. But for him to turn around and have to give me 11 games, bruh, I wasn't banking on that.
Not at
Not
all.
not by,
Not at all.
not behind that offensive line and thinking he was going to be able to get me my another six to 8 wins to get me to where I need to get to.
I agree because Dak was having a hard enough time carrying this team on his back, and he willed together that 1.5 win that we did have because the defense was so bad. So if you take him and the threat of his, I don't want to say big arm because Dak has never been a big arm guy, but his improved passing ability with the threat of him taking off on the ground, teams didn't have to worry about that as much for Andy Dalton. And I think that, and we're going to kind of transition here into the season itself. That stretch of 3 games after Dak went out, weeks 6, 7, and 8, that was against the Cardinals, the football team, and the Eagles. The Cowboys scored a total of 21 points in those 3 weeks.
After scoring 30, averaging 35 points for those
in the
first 5 games.
weeks.
First 5 weeks.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so you could see the difference in how defenses were playing Andy Dalton. Granted, he didn't play great. And you saw a combination of guys. You saw Andy, Ben DiNucci, Garrett Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
you could really see the defense not being threatened by the guy in the center.
No, because you turned around, you had a porous offensive line, which didn't give you the opportunity to get Zeke going. Then you had the point that you couldn't get the run going, so you weren't able to threaten anybody with the pass. They would just say, "Hey, listen, we're gonna shut Zeke down. We're gonna make you go 3rd and 10, and then we're gonna rush 3, maybe rush 4. We're gonna drop 6 or 7 people in the coverage, 7 or 8 people in coverage." So it made it almost impossible for them to get anything going with those guys. The Arizona game, Arizona came in with a game plan. They turned around and they really attacked them. They wanted to make a statement. And, they found that they could get to Andy, and Andy was going to be who Andy is: erratic, not sharp, not poised, and be to the point of putting them in danger, putting them in harm's way. But we also did have the turnovers. We had, Zeke having a couple of turnovers in that game. So that gave him a shorter field, and that defense wasn't stopping anybody. We didn't stop the run at all. I mean, that started along that trend. It was trending the whole time, but that was the one night that you looked up and said, wow, that was just, terrible the way Arizona ran the ball on us, because we just had that happen a couple weeks before where Cleveland ran it on us for over 300 yards. So
307 yards against Cleveland.
Yeah. So, when you don't stop the run, you don't force anybody to change their game plan, because I don't have to throw with worrying about everything else, because I can work off play action. If I can work off play action, then you're not getting enough pressure anyway, and then I got your back end, can't cover, and it was a recipe for being the absolute worst defense in Dallas Cowboy history.
Yes. And it wanted to be en route to the best defense in NFL history. Um, After those three really tragic games, I think that's the best way I can use to describe them. We went and played against Pittsburgh, and I believe that was the game that Garrett Gilbert played.
Right.
Um, and you started to see the team um, kind of come to terms with the fact that Dak wasn't there and mesh a little bit well. And I think that comes from two different factors. One, midseason form is real,
Oh, that
especially
is, yes.
in a season where there's no training camp, no OTAs.
Right.
So you started to see midseason form really come into effect there. And I said this right after, I believe, the loss to Seattle, that right around week 8 or 9, you're going to see things start to turn themselves around.
You were spot on with that. You were spot on with that because we felt coming in that we could probably go to Seattle and get that win in Seattle. But yeah, we realized that mid-season form is an absolute real thing. Whereas
Yes.
we say here, coaching matters. Mid-season form is a real thing, and they did start to round out, but they started getting bodies out the way when they got rid of Don Poe and started playing Neville Gallimore a lot more. The only thing that really bothered me is that I would have loved to see a combination of Neville Gallimore and Tristan Hill inside together and see what that would have looked like. That I think that would have been really nasty.
Now when I was putting together the concept of that Sinister Six picture, I counted out Tristan Hill, and
Oh yeah,
you were
yeah, yeah,
wondering
yeah.
why I counted him out. It's
You,
so funny in hindsight to think that we would have really been counting on Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe, and Everson Griffin when 2 out of 3 of those guys ended up being cancers to the team. And you really start to see the team improve after they were relieved of their duties.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that, as a fan outside looking in, you always had the question of what was going on. Because because we all said, why isn't Tristan Hill getting a jersey? Why is he being, and he's a healthy scratch? Man, he don't love football or something was wrong with him. But we got to kind of realize that with the old regime, they weren't willing to put certain people on the field to play to find out if they could play or they could be a contributor. And we realize now that was one of the biggest faults of the old regime. Because if you look at the old regime, they wasn't putting Noah Brown on the field
That's
at
right.
all. The old regime wasn't putting a Cedric Wilson on the field at all. The old
That's right.
regime was not putting Tristan Hill on the field at all. But more
That's right.
importantly, they were not putting Donovan Wilson on the field at all. And, for me to say Donovan Wilson needed to be on the field and getting snaps and taking snaps away from the GOAT, AKA Jeff Heath, you know, uh, that's a big thing because Donovan Wilson, in his short period of time playing, ended up being the leading interceptor on his team. And in the
That's right.
past, the leading interceptor on this team was who, my friend? I'm gonna leave you with that stat. You got to say it, though. Who was it? I just want
Jesus.
you to. Who was it? I just want you to tell me who the leading interceptor on this team 2 times on this team. Just you can say it. Just lean
And,
in
and
to the camera.
now
Let the people know who was
it
it.
was Jeff Heath.
The GOAT.
so
The GOAT.
so let me ask you this, man. Do you think that we as fans, as casual film watchers, do you think that we overrated guys like X Woods, who would be taking over that starting free safety position?
We fall in love with the underdog. We love the underdog come out of nowhere. Oh, he's a gritty kind of guy. We love those stories. See, we fall in love with the Jeff Heath, the undrafted free agent from Saginaw Valley. We fall in love with Xavier Woods from the small school, Louisiana. What was it? It's not Louisiana Monroe. It's not them,
Louisiana
but
Tech.
Louisiana Tech. We fall in love with those guys instead of understanding that the guys like yourself and a Foots the King and a Vox Lombardi who go and scout guys and looked at Jeff Kavanaugh and guys like that who go scout people and they say, yo, that guy's a sixth rounder, and realizing guys in the fifth and sixth rounds are project guys that may eventually be players. You know what I'm saying? We don't start counting on them. They make one or two plays and we start expecting to count on them. But sometimes those guys come out. Sometimes those guys come out. But we expect it all the time. We expect to be, we're so much smarter than everybody else that we can go plug fifth and sixth rounder guys, plug them into our defense, and think they're going to be bona fide all pro starters. That's what we believe. Instead of believing in those first 4 rounds, that's where you find your studs.
So are you saying that it kind of falls on the coaching staff for not bringing in more talented guys instead of trying to get bargain bin free agents like HaHa Clinton Dix?
Listen, let me explain something to you. This defense, if you look at this football team and we know most the major draft picks. Let's look at it. Amari Cooper, first round draft pick. Sedarian Lamb, first round draft pick. Michael Gallup, third round draft pick. Absolute monster. Across the offensive line, Tyron Smith, first rounder. Connor Williams, second rounder. Travis Frederick, soon departed, first round draft pick. Zach Martin, first round draft pick. Lyle Collins, undrafted free agent, but let's go ahead and be honest. First round talent. Okay, Ray Dakota Prescott, the fourth round pick. Tolio outplayed his draft position. Zeke, first round pick. But on the defense side of the ball, DeMarcus Lawrence, second rounder.
That's right.
Tyrone Crawford, second, maybe third rounder.
I believe it was.
You can't even remember.
I believe it was third.
Right? Neville Gallimore, fourth rounder.
Fourth
rounder. He's a fourth rounder, right? Okay.
Yes.
Randy Gregory, second rounder, but we always knew he had some issues, right? Okay. Alden Smith, older, but he was a first round talent, but you didn't draft him. Chidobe Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, second and third rounders, right? Donovan Wilson, who you found, who was a player, he was sixth rounder?
Six.
Okay. And sixth round. I mean, dude, you got all your firepower's on the offense. You the only guy who's a second rounder is DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory.
Technically, we have Mr. Hero Ball himself.
Hey man, listen, man. I forgot. See that lets you know. That lets you know how. Okay, so Leighton and that man, we gonna have to have a whole nother video about the defense. But at the end of the day, you are devoid of talent on the defensive side of the football at such a low level that you don't need to have, the 85 Bears. You ain't even got to have the 1991 Cowboys or 1992 Cowboys, right? You don't need to have, you don't have to. But what you do need is what you got the last half of the season. Opportunistic defense that gets turnovers, people who make plays, and who can get people off the field. Some of the time. Dude, they turned around. Go ahead.
So do you think that what the product that we had on the field that last 4.5 weeks, because I think the beginning of that Giants game didn't start off too great. They kind of adjusted well. But do you think that last 4.5 weeks of the season, the product that they put on the field, is that good enough with your healthy offense?
I'm going to tell you, I don't think just that last 4.5 weeks. I'm going to say the back half of the season. I'm going to say against Pittsburgh, with a healthy offense and a Ray Dakota Prescott, we beat Pittsburgh.
100%.
Against the football team, with a healthy Ray Dakota Prescott, we beat the football team.
Yeah.
Okay. Against Minnesota, we won. Who else did we? Okay, I'm gonna give you one. Against the Ravens, with a healthy Ray Dakota Prescott, I can win a shootout against Lamar Jackson because they're gonna have to get the ball. I put so much faith in in my offense, knowing that they can score 25, they can score 30 to 35 points. I can compete with anybody. And even though my defense had lapses against the football team, against the Ravens, I think the Ravens was the last piss poor outing they had.
Yes,
Even Sunday they were serviceable. My offense, my quarterback sells me out, and my O line played terrible. But I think what ended up happening is that the O line played against lesser talent. So once they played a team that was a little bit better, which the Giants were defensively, I think that's what kind of showed how poor my offensive line was.
100%. I think that you had the whole Terrence Steele situation for a good majority of the year. They
Hmm.
finally got him up out of the starting spot at some point. Um,
Not long
so that
enough, but
that
okay.
yeah, not long enough, but it helped alleviate some issues. Um, but the rest of the team just came together and they rallied. I think, to be totally honest, they got tired of losing. I'm sure that guys who are especially going to be on the team the following year know that, hey, this may be for the betterment of the team. After this, if we bring in a healthy injection of youth from the draft, but they got tired of losing. They got tired of being laughed at. So that is a good morale booster, and helped them rally to get those 3 wins in a row. But I feel the same way that you do. You get a healthy Dak Prescott, and I won't think that we'll lose any game. We might lose it, but I'll go into the game thinking, yeah, we can beat them.
I,
The way that it was after week 5, I didn't have that feeling often.
I feel that if you give Rain though that defense with those turnovers, the way they did the second half of the season, I don't think you lose a game. I mean, the way they were handling the Giants right before he got hurt, they were leading, they were going in to score again to really put that game away and really solidify what they were trying to do. And even in that game, the defense tried to give it up, tried to give it up that game, to
Mhm.
Devontae Freeman and everyone else. I mean, they made every guy look like daggum Gale Sayers out there running the football. So
That's right.
that kind of leads us, to a couple of different things we want to do in free agency. And I think my front seven has got to get better. I think
Absolutely.
my front up the middle has got to get better. I have one of the pieces for up the middle on my football team right now. I got to get two more pieces. Um, and I
Now
got to figure out
I think that you got, as far as interior D linemen, I think you got 2 good guys, but both of them are 3 techs is the issue.
right.
I don't think that you have the answer at nose, and
You don't have
I'm
one.
not
You don't
sure
have
if
one.
you found that answer in free agency. That's something that I think that you might have to hunt for in the draft.
I think you have to go try to find something in free agency. I think you have to go find uh, a mid tier with upside, one technique. Dalvin Tomlinson for the Giants is who I've been looking at. I like him,
Okay.
and he was pretty impressive Sunday. With the mixture of him with Leonard Williams. So
Yes.
I think you got to target him. You go try to go get often injured, maybe on a 1 year proven deal. Go get a Malik Hooker and make him your free safety.
Mm,
Hopefully he can stay healthy. You bring him in. Those are the two guys I'm kind of. You got to go spend some money in free agency on defense because you're not going to fit. You're not that far away. I think with what you have positioned in the draft, and if you go get those couple of guys up the middle and at 10, I'm being totally honest with you. I won't lose any sleep, not one second of sleep at 10. And we're going to talk about it in depth. There's only two guys I wanted at pick 10, only two. And if I get somebody, one of these quarterbacks to fall, somebody come back and give me a little early extra look. It's another guy I want to talk to you about offline. But if your pet cat Caleb Farley sitting there at 10, I won't feel bad about it.
at
And
all. I
at
won't lose a
all,
sleep. I won't lose a bit of
won't
sleep.
lose won't lose a wink. And if my dude Nick Bolton is sitting there at 10, man, listen here, I'm
Hey,
doing the jig.
so Chris, I've been thinking about this, man. As it stands right now, Nick Bolton is one of those guys that's looked at as like a late first round talent. Come draft time, he's gonna be a guy that's looked at as a top 10 talent. Man, he's the best Mike in the draft. And I've been talking about him for a few weeks, ever since I started watching film on him. Nick Bolton might be the best overall linebacker in this draft. Micah Parsons might got a little bit of competition.
Listen, I'm not. I don't want. I already have a potential guy. Matter of fact, I got two potential guys in my linebacking core. LVE coming out was a potential guy because of his height, his size, and his range. Um, to this day, I'll never forgive them for this because you had Miles Jackson on the board.
Yes.
You had Miles Jackson on the board. Miles Jack was the very next pick. If you had Miles Jack on this football team right now, could you imagine Miles Jack and Leighton Vander Esch on the field at the same time? Yeah,
you can take some of the responsibility from Leighton and let him try to be a little bit more instinctual instead of trying to think too much.
Right.
And it would be great.
And guess what? Both of those guys can cover.
Yes.
Both of those guys can cover. So this problem you've had with tight ends over the years, you wouldn't have had because nobody's throwing on those guys. They're running with running backs. They're running with running backs out in space. So listen, you've got to get a guy like a Nick Bolton, get him on the field, give him the responsibility of being a middle linebacker, let him stay inside that 10-yard box, keep him clean with a great one technique and a rotation of Tristan Hill and Neville Gallimore, being able to push the pocket and keep him clean and let him run and go make tackles. And then you will see DeMarcus Lawrence's numbers go up for sacks. You'll see Randy Gregory be the terror that he is if you allow those different things to happen. You got to get better up the middle, man.
So I've been thinking, obviously, I've done enough research to know that I can bolster all of our, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions of need. I can go and bolster each one of those guys in the draft, each one of those position groups, in the draft. But you mentioned like go and get a free safety. Do you think someone like Anthony Harris might be too expensive, or maybe even Justin Simmons? Are you looking to spend that type of big money on a safety, or are you looking to go out and get let's see, who is a good interior linebacker? Maybe somebody like I can't even think of someone.
Right?
Are there? I don't believe that there's any good linebackers coming in.
We can probably look at it later, but my thing is, what I have to get is 2 linebackers. I have to end up getting 2 linebackers, and I have to get 2 cornerbacks, and I have to get about 5 to 6 pieces this year. I've got to be able to get a starting one technique and a backup one technique. Okay? I have to go out and get at least 2 linebackers because I cannot let Jalen Smith play on my football team ever again in life.
So you sound scarred, but I think about it this way, Chris. I think about it this way, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to let you finish heaping hot molten hate at Jalen, but I don't think it was all bad. You still got to see almost 1,000-yard rusher with 4 different quarterbacks and 17 offensive line combinations. You still got to see 1,000-yard receiver, almost 2 1,000-yard receivers. So I think that these offensive weapons were still able to show you that they can do what they do, man.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the offense. The offense is fine. I mean, if you look at it, the surprise of the year was finding out that you had Dalton Schultz, and then if Blake Jarwin doesn't turn out to be the guy you think he can be, don't worry about it. I got Dalton Schultz.
Yes, Dalton Schultz ended up putting up the numbers that I predicted Blake Jarwin to have. 60 catches, 600 yards.
600 yards. Dude, and could you imagine him with a healthy reign, what he would have had? CD went with 75 catches, 800 some odd yards.
74 catches and
Okay.
935 yards.
Oh, dude. Michael Gallup. I mean, the three 1,000-yard receivers is totally doable with this offense. And
Yes.
if you get 750 yards from your tight end to match with Pollard coming with the 18 touches we want to get from Tony, and with a healthy Zeke, with a better offensive line that can get his yard per carry up to the 4.5 that he's been accustomed to throughout his career, the offense is fine. But if I can't earn the right to pass rush, because you have to earn it, and the way you
Yes.
earn the right to pass rush is by what? Stopping the run.
That's right.
I've got to be able to stop the run. I've got to be able to get guys out there who are going to wrap up, do their job, be fundamentally sound, be in the holes they're supposed to be in, and go do what they're supposed to do. We're going to watch a lot of teams this weekend that don't have a lot of big name players, but you know what they have? Assignment type players, guys who do
Yes.
their job.
Guys who
And
do their job.
so I don't need a pop locking. Uh, you just got served to wannabe linebacker on my football team out there jumping around like he about ready to do a little dance routine. I don't need
Hey,
that,
man.
man. I don't want.
Jalen was doing the Harlem Shake, and he thought that somebody was gonna come and try and hold him back, I guess. But when nobody did it, he just ended up looking foolish.
You look silly, man. And after a whole year of this, it's hard for me. You know how people used to always hit back. Yo, Carson Wentz was, he was an MVP race in 2017. You know how people held on to that?
And
That's
now
how
where
we're
is he?
holding. Right. That's how we're holding on to Jalen Smith's 2018 year. Man, 2018, Jalen Smith was yada yada yada. And now, 2 years removed from now, Jalen Smith peaked in 2018 for what he could be. The
That's
story's
right.
great. The story's amazing. But man, he's not Rudy, man. He may have went to the same school, but he's not Rudy. He's
That's
got
right.
gifts and athletic talents that he has to be able to play. He got to do his job. I don't need him jumping up and down after making a 10 yard and making a tackle for a first down. I don't need him, bumping and jumping, and he can't cover. He can't cover tight ends. I don't need him on my football team. So any way I can trade him for a draft pick or get him off my football team and get me somebody in place of him, man, I'm about it, man. Can't
That's
cut him,
right.
but I need him off the football field because he's a liability.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good way to put a bow on it. We need guys that'll do their jobs. So if you haven't already, click this like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And you should already be subscribed. If not,
Come
shame
on,
on
man.
you. I'm
Come on,
disappointed.
that's shame on you, man. We've been kicking it too
Disappointed.
long for you not to be kicking with us.
That's right. So once again, go back, watch all our other content. Follow us on Twitter at Frankly Football, but the last L is a 1. That is FranklyFootball 1.
One.
This has been Frankly Football. Peace.
Peace.